Hi there. I have a new addition to the observation series. This is from 10/17/2010, the second of that day. It was the first day of the new trecena, so the Mayan day is one seed or lizard, and it's called Keeping It Simple. Just wake up to the cosmic being you are. What an interestingly different day it has been. You know, the mind gets really baffled by how the consciousness can keep on changing. The mind doesn't have sufficient imagination to keep up. How could one be different each day on awakening and realize the difference? Have it be notable or at least noticeable? How could that be? Poor mind. One thing that is changing has to do with the transcripts I put on Scribed. As much as I adore writing them in different rainbow colors, it turns out these days to be too time-consuming now that I'm getting more subscribers and correspondence. So, much as I like it, that just has to go, or maybe become a more rare thing, or the like. Time shall tell. At this point, I don't know how many of you both read and watch the journals. I know I have about the same number of views on each site, around 50,000. It's rather amazing to me, but that's not 100,000 people. That's just that many reads and views. Anyway, thank you so much for your interest and attention. I am honored by your presence here in my life. We are all healing, all rising in both consciousness and in the integrous state of our DNA. But it takes its own route. It appears in its own way. Seldom is it called for, but I feel the need for a bit of patience right now. I am so eager to be more able to serve. Oh well, no doubt that's just mine throwing its 2 cents worth in. There is no impatience in heart. It is challenging, though, and I admit it, to live with pain. One does weary a bit. How about you? Do you have things in your life that tend to get to you, too? Probably. Well, let's all remember to be kind to the self. No harsh treatment anymore. No criticism or condemning of you, nor of me. Let's agree. And let's remember, too, not to stuff it either, to get distracted or turn away from our stuff, our garbage. My choice is to acknowledge it, to give it some space, some attention, to sit peacefully with it for a bit, as much as I can. Try it. You might like it. So often, such difficult things come bearing gifts, gifts that we're not used to seeing or receiving, since we don't welcome the gift giver at all, and thus no gifts. Well, duh. Oh, life is so blessedly simple. And it turns out that it guides us each step of the way. That is, once we're listening in heart, we perceive it from there, and most of us spend some time in heart anyway, even without any effort at all. That's where all true intuition arises from. Well, that's just my opinion, and I'm no guru. But so far, that's been my experience. You are all gurus too, That is, if I am, then we all are. That's what we're waking up to. Do you realize who and what you are in your divine state, that is? Is that beginning to come upon you in little bits? I know it is for me, and it's frankly amazing. Wow. Well, be sure to be in heart and to be in humility, or you'll get lost. And we've all done that too many times to count. Our minds are great. Sure they are. But they don't lead to where we're going here, so it's best to be very cautious and supervise them at all times, at least until they're trained. Sneaky little boogers they are until then. This day has so many odd little things within it. Go figure. That's why I like my little mantra. It is what it is. Well, not a mantra, but a saying, a motto, a little proverb or something. It goes right along with the "I don't know" phrase, a very dear friend. I hope you will find it to be a friend for you too. It's not a friend of your mind, but it is a friend of you. We are the rescuers that we seek. We must start seeing ourselves this way. Our light brothers, the star beings, the good guys, have been awaiting our maturing, our stepping up into our sovereign beinghood. Until we did that, they weren't willing to step in to interfere with us, and it wouldn't have done any good anyway. Can you see that? They've tried down through history often and again to lend a hand, to provide aid, and to come to our rescue. Well, each time it seems we didn't step up to the plate enough, and furthermore, then their gifts fell into the wrong hands over time. The dark side managed to turn their beautiful service into something dark with which to abuse us. The dark side, as I call them, are all light beings too. They've just forgotten, just as thoroughly as we have, about their origins. They've been consciously playing the game longer than we have, since as 3D humans, a lot of forgetting is mandated under the current setup. They don't forget their lifetimes as we do. Anyway, though they have memory of those lifetimes and full functioning DNA, at least compared to ours, still, they manage to forget their ancient origins in light. And it's sad. It's just as sad as what they've done to us by locking us up in these little cages of consciousness, supported by only 2 strands of DNA. Well, what goes around comes around. That's built right into 3D. What the beings in higher dimensions do is reach out a hand, a helping hand to those below, those coming up in consciousness and awareness. Well, these 4D beings have done anything but, of course, they've captured and trapped us. They've dined on our energy. Even our bodies, various parts of them, find their way to some stomachs. It's all pretty terrible, but I don't recommend getting deeply enmeshed in studying that. Don't feed it with too much of your attention. That does you no good. Simply be aware. That's enough at this point. By staying in heart, perhaps you can even find compassion, the empathy, perhaps, to realize that these beings are doing nothing we aren't doing ourselves. Look how we treat the animals of planet Earth, please. Let's be both fair and realistic. What goes around comes around, and it's not just to the dark side either. You'll find that your heart is the perfect middle path. Your tuition from there will guide you into such understanding, and it will open your heart even more. It's a beautiful walk. You'll find yourself loving everyone and everything, even the bugs, even the dark side. I kid you not, everything's conscious, my friends. I don't even throw rocks into water anymore without stopping to realize, hey, that rock is aware. Life is entirely different once we're awake. totally different from within. There's no telling us, though, until we're ready for this. We'll just take it into mind and then make a muck of things. That's all mind can do with this stuff. And that's my biggest challenge with you. Do you realize that? The fact that we're so deeply identified with mind and with body is challenging. What I say can be so misused by the mind. It can be the same exact words and they'll have one meaning for mind, yet nothing like that for heart. And that's why I keep sending you, keep calling you into your heart when you read or listen to me. I want you to get my drift, not just my words. I send you energy, as we all do when we write or speak. It's just that mind is unable to interpret this, which is a challenge when we're locked within mind. So many people stay on the spiritual path for so long, and I think it's because largely they haven't made the transition to heart. They're still stuck in mind. Mind can be quite convinced that it knows things, that it knows what this or that means. It has no way of realizing how truly far off it is. It may even be close, but that doesn't work with this. You just have to receive it in heart. You will find too, as you advance in your own awareness, your awakening, that as you go back to earlier journals, you'll get much more out of them. Just like when I went back for later reading of my old favorite book, I Am That.